Now, the Biden White House are demanding Israel come clean on the killing of aid workers in an Israeli airstrike in Gaza. Our own Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, has also conveyed his outrage at the death of an Australian aid worker. Israel has admitted that the deaths of the 7 workers was a mistake that followed a misidentification. Ami, how is this story being treated in the US, and what do you make of the claims from pro-Palestinian activists that this was nothing out of the ordinary and Israel is reckless in selecting its targets?
This is so gross, so disgusting. First of all, this aid organization, which is led by Jose Andres, a famous celebrity chef, has been working hand in glove with Israel. So in fact, it's another example of Israel trying to get aid into Gaza, working with this organization in order to do that. They work very closely with them. The Israelis are heartbroken over what happened, but this was clearly a mistake. Israel said it seems like a mistake. Israel's investigating it. Hamas doesn't investigate an attack on civilians because that's their entire basis of operation. That's their modus operandi. But when Israel does it, they call for investigations. Look, understand something. 1/5 of all Israeli soldiers have been killed by friendly fire. One of the most famous incidents, Israel even killed their own hostages because when you're in war, this is what happens. This is not a war that Israel started. This is a war that was put upon Israel by Hamas. They're reacting to Hamas barbarity and atrocities. And guess what happens when that occurs? There is examples of civilians being killed by accident. This is a perfect example of that. But Joe Biden knows that. He is deliberately trying to misinterpret the truth because he's using it as a cudgel against Israel in order to push his gross, disgusting ceasefire that calls on Israel to stop prosecuting its war against Hamas without the hostages being released in total. This is what we're seeing here. This is why the faux outrage by the administration and the fake outrage by the news media outlets around America and around the world.
Now, Joe Biden's climate agenda has been dealt a big blow after a federal district court overturned a rule that required states to track and set reduction goals for greenhouse gas emissions from vehicles on highways. Ami, how big is this issue in the coming presidential election? Is climate change going to be a top tier issue, or is it rank relatively low when you're talking about cost of living, the border crisis and inflation, all the issues that US cities are grappling with?
Climate change? Oh, come on. Nobody cares right now about climate change, considering all the things you just listed. Look, I'll tell you what's 2 things that's really interesting about this. First of all, it's the okay. Yes, there are issues involved, interesting issues involved in terms of federalism and state rights versus federal rights. We've been dealing with this issue a lot now with this administration because the administration is trying to push federal agendas onto states. We talked about the border with Texas. This is another example of that. So that on itself is an interesting dynamic, a constitutional issue that I think it's important to deal with. But frankly, Rita, it just shows you how tone deaf this president is. Never mind that the issue isn't climate change in terms of what voters care about. Voters are looking at inflation, in particular, the rise in cost of gas prices. Yet what is he doing? He's trying to push a legislation, a regulation from the federal government that will do nothing but continue to push up gas prices at a time where that's what people care about. Climate change isn't the #1 issue, but inflation certainly is. But he is so this is why he's so bad. Rita, he's so bad at this. This is why he's losing to Donald Trump, right? He's getting killed because he's pushing stupid things that people don't care about. The things they do care about, he's making it worse for them.